I'll take this example a little bit slowly as there's so many parts to it. Also, there's more than one way to approach it, so if you've tried this question, you've approached it differently than I have, but ended up with the same answer, that's fine. I like to start with the fraction here to simplify that before I go through and do any more work. So just focus on what's in the box there. Let's simplify that if we can so that it's a single term and no longer a fraction. Now, I notice that there's a number 15 on top, but there's no coefficient in the denominator, so that means it's a 1. So when I divide my coefficients, it's 15 divided by 1, or 15. Now let's look at the x terms. I have x to the 8th divided by x to the 5th. So that's x to the 8 minus 5, which makes x cubed. Do the same with the y's. Y cubed minus, now pay attention that the denominator has an exponent of -3, so it's minus a -3. When you subtract a negative, you're really adding it. So this is going to become y to the 6th. And then let's look at that z. Z to the -1 divided by z squared is z to the -1 minus 2. I'll just put a line there so we know that's a side. That's z to the -3. Now, I know it says your final answer should have a positive exponent, but I'm not going to worry about that until the final step. What would be easier for me right now is if all of my numbers were on the same line. So I'm going to have 5x cubed y to the -8 z to the -2 divided by 15x cubed y to the 6th z to the -3. If you like, you can rewrite this so it looks like a proper division question. But you don't have to. It depends, whatever's easier for you. 15x cubed y to the 6th z to the -3. So I'm going to go through and actually do this division, and I will worry about the negative exponents at the very end. So in this case I have 5 over 15. That doesn't divide evenly, but I can reduce it, right? I can divide by 5 there. So I'm getting 1/3. Now as for the x's, x cubed divided by x cubed, that's x to the 3 minus 3, or x to the 0. So actually the x's are gone. They cancel each other out. I don't have to worry about them at all. Now for the y's, I've got y to the -8 minus 6. So on the denominator, I see that the 6 is positive, so it's -8, subtract a positive 6. So that's y to the -14. Now you can write it in the numerator as y to the -14 because when I do this simplification, it does end up in the numerator. But since I know they're asking for my final answer to have positive exponents only, instead of writing it in the numerator, I'm going to put it in the denominator as a positive exponent. And let's have a look at the z and see what happens there. Z to the -2 minus -3. In that case, the subtract a negative means add. So I get z to the 1, which is really just z. Since that's a positive exponent, I will leave it alone in the numerator. So I've got 1z divided by 3y to the 14th. If you hadn't moved the y, you would have y to the -14th z in the numerator over 3. So we have to move it to have a positive exponent. Probably, though, you wouldn't have that coefficient of 1 there, and the best answer here would be z over 3y to the 14th.